Ooh, man. I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? I think that's going to be a fun edge to carry and use. What's going on, guys? I want to put a toothy edge, toothy wicked edge on my Strider SNG. I've been carrying this thing for, gosh, probably a month now, almost straight, continuously a month, and I hadn't really done much more than strop it a few times. There are some nicks and dings in the edge. I have tried to save some time, so this is already going to be a long video, I'm sure of it. But hopefully I have saved a little bit of time. So you can see I put some tape over the areas to protect the blade. This is a working knife. I really don't care if it gets dinged up, but I don't like extra dings that aren't like from use, you know. So anyways, let me show you what I did to set it up. I'm going to go at a 15-degree angle, a little bit low for a Strider, but I favor performance over any kind of prying capability or anything like that. And 15 is still a pretty strong edge, especially with Strider's heat treat here. So you can see what I did is I put some marker on my edge so we can set the arm up. I've already set this arm up to 15 degrees, so I'm gonna walk you through setting this arm up to 15 degrees, and then you can just imagine, you know, doing both. How you set the actual blade in here is you take this little key and you pick what slot you want, and it really depends on whatever you want to do. This comes in here and then plugs through the other side. You set your spine on top of that. If you want to, for repeatability, you can even use this gauge to tell you where your tip is, and then you record all that in a journal for your specific knife, and then it's easier to touch up because you say I'm at the first slot or I'm at the second slot, I'm at this on the depth gauge, and then I set my arms to whatever degree. You know what I mean? So it's nice for repeatability. Don't know why I'm having trouble saying that word today. But let's go ahead and set up this side. And first of all, we're going to have to get our angle cube out. And I will show you how I have my setup here, maybe. You can see I have... Oh man, you can't really see it. Anyways, I have everything nicely organized here, and being that I want a toothy edge, I was so happy when I put this toothy edge on my CQC Emerson with this 154 CM blade. It cuts really nice, and I think I finished this at 100 grit, so that's what I have in my head that I want to do with this, but maybe I wanted a little more aggressive, like a factory Spyderco edge. So we'll just see. We're gonna play it by ear. I'm gonna start with the big dog sharpening stones. We're going to work with the 50s and go to the 80s. You got to be super careful. These do hog off a lot of steel very, very quickly. So we're also going to pull out these 100s and 200 grit stones and set them to the side as well. And to set up this arm, set up both arms, just keep in mind I've already done this. I always like to use the highest grit available. So I have the 1000 grit here. That's metal. I do have the ceramics and the strops and all that, but you'll see why. I really like to use the angle cube. I think most of the Wicked Edge systems come with this. If not, you can find these angle cubes online. They're not terribly expensive like you may think they would be. But anyways, so what you have to do is turn your angle cube on, and then we're going to set it on the base, and then we have to zero it out to the base, and then this is zeroed to in relation to the base. So I could sharpen this on the back end of a truck in a mud hole, or you wouldn't, but I'm just saying, like, even if it looks like it's off here, it's off consistently to what your stone is. So if you angle it out, my bench here does not have to be perfectly level because it is level to the stone, the bench here. So does that make any sense? So now I'm going to pick my 1000 grit side. I'm going to slide this on here, and then we're going to see where we're sitting. Now I like the 1000 grit because if I make a mistake, I'm not hogging off a bunch of steel. I'm not putting any kind of big scratches in. You see we're sitting at 14 degrees, 14.2 or so. It fluctuates. It takes about 5 seconds or so to settle. 14.35. So that means I might be able to get this in the micro adjustment. So I'm gonna pull this, I'm gonna tighten this screw up here. This is your big adjustments. Okay, that's tight. I'm gonna hold this so it doesn't fall down. I'm gonna loosen up this set screw here. And now I can play with this micro adjustment. What this does is move this arm in and out small amounts. So we need to go up to 15. So I'm gonna pull this back, which will tip that angle out a little bit, and see if we can get 15. Sitting at 417. 417, 470. Okay, we gotta go in a little more. Oh, 1520, let's let it sit for a second. 1475, in a little more. Let it sit for a second. Maybe reset it coming out, and then back in. 15, look at that. So now we're gonna tighten up this set screw here. Take this off of this. And now we're set up. So now it's 15 degrees on each side, and you can see where the wicked edge is really gonna show where it excels at, right here. The guided sharpening system, it's going to put a beautiful uniform edge on here. Now I do believe that my knife is a little bit lower than the 15, so we may not get a full bevel sharpen. We're gonna see. But it should be close. Before I do that, we should make just a few swipes on this to see exactly where we're sitting at. I have to move my stool here and stand up. So nice, I got everything figured out. There's no tripod or anything in the way now. So now we use that 1000 grit. Keep in mind, I'm not sharpening with that 1000 grit. I just want to see where we're sitting, where we rubbed off the Sharpie on there. I'm gonna move my stool. And we can get a closer look at this. Okay. I think that's gonna be perfect. That is 15 degrees. You can see we're not at the apex of the edge yet, but we do have everything set up to go right. So now I'm a little OCD, or a lot of it, so I'm gonna make sure all my screws are tightened down again. All my set screws here, because I don't want anything moving while we're sharpening. They don't have to be death grip tight, but we are putting a lot of forces on here when we're sharpening. Here we go. All right, so I like to dip my stones in water. I've got a bucket right here. It may get a little bit messy. I do have some paper towels over here as well. And I feel like the water really helps it shed the steel off and helps it cut a little faster. No, you don't have to have water or oil or anything with diamonds, but it helps. I think it helps. All right, so that's looking good. Do not think that you absolutely have to count your strokes. Well, I did 3 on this side, now I need to do 3 on that side. I don't do that when I sharpen. I go by feel, by look, and it's always worked out for me. Not always, but you know what I mean. You don't have to, if this side has a couple extra strokes on that side, that's fine. I think your eyes are a better gauge of that than what, you know, your logical brain's trying to tell you that you need more. Strokes on one side per the other side are exactly equal. What I want to do, because those remove steel so fast, these 50 grit stones, I want to make sure I'm not removing too much steel. You have to make sure you're not removing stuff off the belly. That's looking really nice, but I do not, at 50 degrees, I do not want to pull a burr. That means I went way too far with those stones. These are for hogging down the steel to get to closer to where you want to be. So you're not sitting there all day on your 100 grit stones or whatever, you know what I mean? So I really feel like that's as far as I want to go with that. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna dip these back in the bucket here. And then I'm gonna go to the 80 grit. You don't have to push down very hard. Just let the diamonds kind of do what they do. Make sure you're not bumping your knife, and try to keep it up and down strokes, not like grinding way out and doing vertical lines. Especially if you want to finish on a toothy edge. I want those teeth up and down. All right. Also, you do not want to grind too much on your belly, and don't slip and roll off your tip here, because you will blunt your tip as well. Again, I don't want to quite pull a burr. Let's see how we're looking. Wipe it off. All right. Yep, I do not want to pull a burr. All right, so I think I can switch up to the 100 grit, because I feel like I'm maybe a few more strokes. There's still a little bit of edge damage there on the tip. On the belly. Pull these back and see if I can get a better angle. You guys. All right, I think I'm ready to switch to, no, there's still quite a bit of metal right here. So let's go ahead and give it a few more on the 80. A few more on the 80. See what it looks like. Oh, looking nice. Okay, so let's switch up to the 100 grit. Yeah, I don't quite want it that toothy. 50 is a little too toothy for me, so let's switch it up and go to the next stone. Again, if you wanted to polish it, you would just keep running up the grits, and you would run up the ceramics, and we are actually going to still strop even with this toothy edge, because I feel like the strop knocks down any kind of small micro burrs or anything that are in there. I dip these in the bucket, and getting super close. Very close. I think I'm going to be able to finish this on this 100 grit. Maybe we'll go to 200, but we'll see. Some people with the wicked edge will go. And that's, you can certainly do that. That does keep your edges, you know, not quite as much guesswork. But to me, that doesn't feel right. I just go by eye. Again, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I guess there is wrong way, but if you're getting a sharp knife in the end, it doesn't matter if you're using a wicked edge, an Edge Pro freehand, or using a grinder, or a belt sander, or a brick. You know what I mean? It just doesn't matter. As long as you got a sharp knife that you can actually use. I just think there's way too much arguing about how everybody, like, not everybody, but a lot of people think that the best results that they get is the only way that anybody should ever do it. And I just don't feel that way. I see benefits to this wicked edge system. I also see benefits to the freehand. My sharpening of choice, probably freehand. But that's more due to how easy it is. You can see how I had to fiddle with this a little bit. You guys didn't see the off-camera stuff to set it up and all that. Not that it's too much, you know, and I think it's worth your effort, but I like the ease of just throwing a stone on the counter and going. So, but there's no denying a good wicked edge is, you know, hard to deny that that's a cool part of the sharpening hobby, especially when you figure out your choices. Rough finish, you can bring it up to whatever grit you want. Not very hard to do. I could teach my mother how to sharpen a knife and she would get excellent results. Something to be said about that. That being said, you still need experience, and it is a skill, whether using an edge pro or a wicked edge. It takes experience to do it, but the actual act of the sharpening is not super difficult. They make it pretty pain-free as far as making mistakes in the learning curve. Let's see where we're sitting. I see that edge needs work. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull a burr at this 100 grit. That looks about what I want. See that scratch pattern? Very toothy. Hopefully it'll be a pretty aggressive cutter when I'm cutting my shrink wrap and stuff at work in the morning. So I'm gonna just go ahead and go to work. I don't know if I'm going to edit this video or not. We're already at 17 minutes, but kind of nice too to walk through the full thing, and hopefully it's not too boring. I'm not quite sure how the sound's coming out. I apologize if it sounds terrible. I'm so glad I've got all my studio set up here, hands-free. There's nothing in the way for me to bump into. Any kind of shake is not going to the camera. Might be a better angle that I can do this. My hands are kind of in the way. Again, we'll figure all that out. It's better than I've been able to do, which is nothing. I think I have done 1 or 2 wicked edge videos, but not enough. It's a wonderful tool. They're not cheap, but they do produce incredible results. And I may or may not have an extra one on hand that will be being given away soon. Stay tuned for that. Not sponsored by Wicked Edge or anything like that. Oh, it's getting sharp. All right, I don't want to remove more steel than I need to. So what I'm going to do is put a new marker on there and see if we're getting all the way to the apex. If I was on camera, I would just keep going and going, but I want to stop when I need to stop and not have you guys here for any longer than you need to be. All right. Now, let's see what we remove off of this. I really like sharpening with diamonds. Don't be afraid of using those higher grit stones. Well, not higher grit, lower grit stones that hog off a lot of steel, like those 50s. I know a lot of people don't even touch those in the Wicked Edge. When you're reprofiling a knife, they are super valuable. But do not even get close to pulling a burr. They will remove a lot of steel. That means they're putting in heavy scratches. And if you want a polished edge in the ends, man, they can really wreak havoc if you went all the way down to a burr with those. You want to stop when you're halfway down to where you feel like you're going to be, and then jump to your next stone, Because I've been there where I went a little too far with my lower grit stones, and then I had to work way too hard to get those big heavy scratches out. And then also, what are you doing? Well, you're taking away more steel than you needed to, which that's not good for the longevity of the knife. And it makes the profiles look stupid. So let's see where we're sitting. Careful to not roll off your tip. Let's see what we're sitting at. All right. We cut phone book paper in it. Not quite as sharp as I would like it. Just go a little more. I mean, it's push cutting it, but it's not. You see, I'm full of grippy. Keep in mind, this did have some edge damage here. You can see why I'm not quite to the apex yet. Let's pick a side and just see if we can pull a burr. Also, let's dip these back in the water. See if we can get them to cut a little faster. Let me know if you guys want more videos like this. It's gonna be super easy to make them. Maybe I can get you a better angle. Maybe I could do some editing instead of doing them uncut. Oh, you don't want to do that. You can cut yourself, you can ding your edge up. Trying to go a little too hard and a little too fast. We're pulling a burr yet. Oh, I feel one right there. I feel a little bit of a burr. So if you're not familiar with what a burr is, it's where you sharpen the sides perfectly and the apex actually meets at the very, very tip. And then that little piece of steel will roll off and come over, and you can feel it with your finger when you're dragging your thumb on the edge like that. Now you don't want to pull more burr than you need to because that's removed more steel than you need to. But it is a good idea to pull a burr because then you know you've got all the way to the apex of the edge. So now I'm going to use that rotating, do one on one side, one on the other side to hopefully get rid of that burr. And then we can also pull the edge on a piece of wood. I do have some around here somewhere, and you can pull that burr off or you can just strop it off. Murray Carter, sharpening guru, likes to just slice it down wood, and I have done that in the past as well. So now I'm doing it like this because we're near the end of the edge and I really want to get that burr gone. Some people will stand that burr up and it will whittle hair and it'll look good and it'll be super sharp and cut that phone book paper. But then you say, whoa, my knife didn't hold an edge very long. Well, that burr is a weak piece of steel that is rolled over. Now that's not going to hold an edge. It's going to be sharp, just like you could sharpen up a butter knife, but that steel is damaged steel and it needs to be removed. And there's no strength behind that burr. So I've seen that where some people thought they had a shaving sharp knife and it's just the burr is flipped over and creates that razor-like feel. But as soon as that burr comes off, you know, they're left with something that's not very desirable. So you want to really take care to get rid of the burr. And you don't want to create a larger burr than you actually need to. You gotta be careful because this thing, without stropping, is getting very sharp. Let's see. I got this water for the paper wet. Let's strop it and see what happens. Let's strop it up. Strop a toothy edge. We're there though. Feel like there's no burr on here and the strop is gonna polish up in between those little micro teeth. Then we're gonna unclamp this and see what it looks like. Hopefully I can do it in under 30 minutes. Start to stop video. I appreciate you guys hanging out. I really do. What I wanna do is go to my balsa wood strops. A little more harder. And I forget what diamond paste I have on these right now. I have to go fish the tubes out. They need reloaded. They need clean and reloaded. That would make a good video, wouldn't it? Yep. Well, we can do that now. So I'm going to use the coarse. I'll go like this. Coarse diamonds on the balsa wood strops. Now you got to be careful. You can't go down on a strop, right? You have to strop it up. And I do like to rotate these strokes. See, so I don't break all the rules, just most of them. Now what you can really do if you want to, you can bump out at the very, very end of your sharpening. We can bump out the angle and put like a micro bevel on the very edge. You can also do that while you're sharpening. I'm gonna go with no micro bevel on this one. And then as I touch the knife up, I will put the micro bevel on there. So this is a flat reprofile. That's generally how I like to do my knives. When I sharpen them on the wicked edge, I don't put a micro bevel in there, even though I love micro bevels, but I don't want to remove any more steel than I need to. So yes, a micro bevel strengthens up your edge, and there's a lot of benefits to a micro bevel. But if I have a sharp knife like it is right now, I don't want to put a micro bevel on there and remove a little bit more steel. I will do that after I've used the knife for a couple weeks and I need to touch it up. Do you know what I mean? So I'm all about trying to preserve the blade as much as possible. Now, can you see I flipped it over to the fine? Again, we're not looking for a mere edge. So I'm stropping this to strop the micro teeth that are in there. Ooh, she's getting really sharp. I think I'm gonna like this. Just thought it'd be fun to do something a little different. We're all doing polished edges. Before we go to the leather, let's see. Still not. It's just gliding through there effortlessly, but we're gonna be able to tell when we pick it up. So it should be grabbing right in here. I'm not that great of a paper cutter either. Well, hopefully you can see it's just sliding right through there. And keep in mind it's a rough edge too. It's not a polished edge. It's a polished toothy edge. So, all right, we'll set the balsa woods to the side. Let's get out the leather strops, and these are loaded with an even finer grain diamond powder, diamond paste. And it is time to clean these as well, reload them. I think I'm out. So let's flip that over to the coarse side. And coarse is still not coarse. I forget what it is. Maybe I'll annotate it or put it in the bottom. Remember, you only strop up. You're stropping. You're not really sharpening. You're just polishing. And don't push too hard. If you push, you could wrap the leather around the edge and it will actually dull your edge that you just worked so hard to put on there. And that applies to any kind of sharpening. You can definitely ruin your edge by stropping too hard. All right, so let's flip this over to the fine. Can you see how valuable a wicked edge is and why I would like both? It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to set up, but the results kind of speak for themselves. Let's take it out of the clamp here. I'm going to do just a couple free-handed strokes on the edge with a strop, and we'll see how it looks. So loosen up the bottom clamp. And we'll do this. Let's take the tape off. Let's get a look at all of our hard work here. Ooh, man. I don't know. You tell me. What do you think? I think that's going to be a fun edge to carry and use. Let's see how sharp it really is. Let's take this tape off. Now we're at 31 minutes. Man, I want to do it under 30. Imagine if we went all the way to a polish. If you have everything set up and you run through it and you're not trying to explain every word and thing that you're doing and talk about it, it's a lot faster. I can usually go to a polished edge within 30 minutes or so. All right, let's get some paper here. And I wanted to take one of these off and see if we can do just a couple micro bevel strokes with knife weight alone. Add a little bit more of a higher angle. So I'm putting almost like a little tiny micro bevel with the strop on there. But this is the finest diamond paste I have. Be careful because you can still ruin your edge. And I'm not even looking at the camera, so I don't know if you guys can see. I hope so. Alright, again, I don't count strokes on that. Let's move this out of the way here so we can see if we can cut some paper. That's the Wicked Edge. It's an extremely awesome tool. After you set it up, and after you start to get your logbook figured out and you know exactly what is what, it's not that hard to set up either, you know. Right. Oh my goodness. Does paper have a grain to it? Is that a stupid question? I just feel like the way the pulp sits to make the paper, but I've always heard paper has grain to it, or is that in your head? I have no idea. Well, it doesn't look like it's that sharp by cutting paper, but I'm a terrible paper cutter. I have some real world stuff here. Let's see if it can shave an arm hair. Yeah, it's doing it. I don't like to shave with a dirty blade. Anyways, it's not a polished edge either, so it's not going to do some of those feats of sharpness that you see, but it will hopefully slice cardboard and paracord and all that. Let me go get some paracord. I've got some right behind me here. Let's see how well it does. Beautiful. Let's see, just for fun. I want to buy some rope, and we'll do some rope cut tests and stuff like that. Do like toothy edge versus polished edge. Get my angles figured out. Ooh, that went nice. Let's do double. Good. See if we'll do 4. Kind of hard to hold and do. Let's see. Ooh, almost cut myself. Anyways, it's sharp. I don't know how else to show you it's sharp other than put the loop up to it. Let's do that too before we get out of here. We did put the loop. Where did we put the loop? The loop. The loop. The lighted loop. And let's see if we can see. Kind of hard to see, right? I'll turn this light off. Pretty rough scratch pattern. It's sharp. I can feel it sharp. Let's see if we can make it sing off my skin like a straight razor feel. Even though two totally different edges, you know what I mean? Toothy edge like this is going to have some aggression when it's slicing plastic and rope and stuff. Even though I don't know if it looked like it was cutting great through that paracord, but it was. Let's see. The old thumb test. Let's put this side back on. Very nice. I'm very happy. I will report back and let you guys know exactly what I think about this edge. I think I'm going to be very happy because I like the way that this cuts. Did the same thing on this one. So there you go. That's 15 degrees on a Strider. You can see that's a pretty laid back bevel there. Should perform great. It's about what it was at 15 degrees. I just had it polished up. And then it also convexed over time as I sharpened it freehand. And this is a perfect V edge with that clamped system, the wicked edge. That's it, guys. Hey, I really appreciate you hanging out. Do stay tuned because I have a lot more videos coming, and I may or may not have a wicked edge that I will be giving away too. All right, see ya.